On a chronic basis, if you're not sleeping enough, there are profound mental, physical, and social consequences. When it comes to recommendations around optimal sleep duration, there is not a single magic number. Most adults need somewhere around 7 to 9 hours, and older adults need around 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. But I always encourage my clients to not get so hung up on the number, but rather focus on the multiple dimensions of sleep, including giving yourself enough opportunity to sleep, also practicing the behaviors that we know will support the quality of sleep. And that extends into older adulthood. One of the ways to characterize older adult sleep is that it tends to be lighter, more fragmented, shorter, and often earlier. Proportionally speaking, older adults spend less time in the deeper stages of sleep than younger adults. And there are a number of reasons for that, including changes in the basic mechanisms that control sleep, including our drive or pressure for sleep, as well as the circadian rhythms or our biological clocks. Their sleep is also more fragmented, it's more disrupted. In fact, upwards of somewhere around 30 to 50% of older adults experiencing the clinical disorder of insomnia, which is characterized by difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, or poor, not quality sleep, non-refreshing sleep. Older adults are also experiencing other sort of diseases of aging or other chronic health conditions that can negatively impact sleep quality. By this, I mean things like increases in pain, nocturia, or having to frequently use the bathroom. Women experience menopausal symptoms, which can be severely disruptive to sleep. And there's a litany of other chronic health conditions that older adults are more likely to experience, and that can impinge on their sleep quality. Certainly, sort of stress and other sort of life transitions can affect sleep fragmentation among older adults. Retirement or children moving out of the home, these sort of changes in, kind of your identity and your schedule can also impact the quality and the quantity of your sleep. The final characteristic is that our sleep tends to get earlier as we become older adults. So there's a reason why there's the early bird special at virtually all restaurants in Florida with people dining at 4 p.m. There's this shifting towards earlier clock times among older adults with earlier bedtimes and earlier rise times. This is not the case that older adults need less sleep. It's simply that they lack the ability to, or there are things getting in the way of their ability to get the sleep they need, which is somewhere around 7 to 8 hours. So some of the critical behavioral factors that science has identified as being absolutely supportive of healthy sleep across the lifespan are, number one, maintaining a consistent bedtime and wake-up time. And actually, I would say focus first on maintaining a consistent wake-up time. The reason for that is wake-up time is the single most important cue for setting our internal biological clocks or our circadian rhythms. Another factor that is so important is maintaining a physical activity program, ensuring that you're doing something physically active every day. It doesn't have to be rigorous activity, but just getting the body moving. That's good for sleep in part because exercise is a great stress reducer. Also, by expending some physical energy during the day, that's also a good way to prepare the body to feel tired, to get sleepy at night. And the third thing that's really important is having some sort of wind down routine at night. Too often, we're racing through our days, sort of trying to get lots of things done, and then deciding, oh, it's bedtime, I got to rush off to bed, put my phone aside and expect that when the light goes off, my brain is automatically going to just shut off, like the light switch. Well, that's simply not how sleep occurs. We really need to prepare the mind and the body to go into this vulnerable state, which is sleep. And the best way to do that is to back up your desired bedtime lie half an hour to an hour and reserve that time, preserve it, to do something that's relaxing but pleasurable and in relatively low light conditions. So whether it be reading a book, cuddling with your partner, watching a not too distressing or stimulating television show, yoga or deep breathing, whatever is calming and relaxing to you, having a cup of herbal non-caffeinated tea, something that becomes a wind down routine. Again, that's predictability at night, which is sometimes lacking from the daytime. And it's also giving this important behavioral signal to the brain and the body that, okay, this is the time when we start to settle and unwind. And the final tip that's so crucial for older adults, if you practice on a nightly basis, waking up in the middle of the night and then not being able to fall back to sleep, and you end up doing the thing that just about everyone does naturally, which is you're in bed, you can't fall back to sleep, so you continue to lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. Your brain is now suddenly hyperactive. You're thinking about all the things you have to do the next day. You're worried about the fact that you're not sleeping. This becomes habit forming, that the brain begins to associate the bed and bedtime with frustration and anxiety and wakefulness instead of a place for peace and calm and sleep. So the thing to do, get out of bed, go to another room and do something, again, relaxing, and that can be done in low light conditions, whether that be reading a book, perhaps listening to a podcast, doing some deep breathing. The key is to break the habit of thinking and worrying and stressing about not sleeping in bed, because when that happens, that actually becomes a perpetuating factor that can actually increase the risk of developing the clinical disorder of insomnia. The consequences of sleep loss and poor quality sleep at a chronic level, and note that I'm emphasizing this is at a chronic level because we all experience, the occasional bad night of sleep. So I don't want to cause a significant amount of stress in people if you have one or a few bad nights of sleep. But this is really on a chronic basis. If you're not sleeping enough and the sleep quality you're getting is really of poor quality, there are profound mental, physical, and social consequences of insufficient or poor quality sleep. If we start at the level of the brain, we know that sleep loss contributes to poor attention, memory problems, issues with concentration. There's even emerging research to suggest that chronic sleep loss may be associated with development of Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. We're still trying to understand exactly what that mechanism is. The American Heart Association has now added sleep to the American Heart Association's list of 8 modifiable risk factors for the development of heart disease. So promoting sleep health is a great strategy to promote heart health. There are also these very strong and bidirectional relationships between sleep and our mental health and well-being. So we not only know that sleep problems are a symptom of virtually every known mental health problem, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, substance use disorder, but it's also the case that sleep problems can actually predict the risk of the development of mental health disorders, including depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, and unfortunately, even suicide. Okay, so the links between sleep and mental health are very strong and robust. Studies have shown that when you're poorly slept, your communication skills suffer, you're more prone to conflict, you're more irritable, more prone to depression. And in intimate relationships, you're less able to see or understand your partner's emotions. These are all really critical factors for relationships in general. And so I often say, if you're not going to protect your sleep for yourself, then do it for your partner and everyone else around you, because, we really are happier, healthier, better people and better partners when we're more well slept.